Now, the games industry is changing incredibly fast, and with that comes a new way of thinking, a new way of structuring teams and studios. Now, when it comes to talking about these things, studios talk a lot of the time about restructuring their pipeline, which is basically the way they work from department to department. And also another thing they talk about is the animation quality. How much animation quality do we need for our game really, and how can we get there as fast as possible? Now, one of those things is something that I've been offering for quite a few years now behind the scenes, and that is the Animation Audit. What is it about? How does it work? And how can it help your studio? Let's talk about it in this video. Welcome to this video, and I hope you're doing well. If you're new here, or if it's the first time that you're watching one of my videos, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Harvey Newman. I've been working in the games industry for the past 23, 24 years now, and it's been an incredible ride, and I've been incredibly thankful and lucky to have worked in a bunch of AAA games over my years that have been incredibly successful over the years, such as Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefield and Horizon and Dead Space and Crisis and Fable and a bunch of other games. And through it all, I have gathered so much information from being a lead, to being a director, being a senior, an animator, learning from the best studios, learning from the worst situations, broken pipelines, and a bunch of other things. And because of this, I have basically gathered in my brain a lot of the solutions for the problems that a lot of studios are going through right now. So let's start by talking about what is an animation audit. So an animation audit is very much like a health check for your animation pipeline in your studio. We come in, we look under the hood in your studio on how your animation game systems are set up, your animations are being polished, how are they being refined, integrated, and basically review the whole thing from beginning to end. And then we identify the red flags, technical, structural, or creative, and suggest fixes for them before they become expensive problems, because in games, everything is expensive. And just to clarify, this is not so much about blame or pointing fingers to problems that have happened before. This is about moving forward and how can we actually sort out the issues. Now, this is something that has come about because of the games that I've worked previously. And studios asking me, so if you've done all these things for these studios in these games, how did you solve these issues that we have internally to get to the quality that you got in these games? And this is how the animation audit started for me, because it's all about sharing the knowledge with the limited capacity that you have, because obviously everything is under NDA. The games are definitely under NDA, but the problems and the solutions that games have are kind of universal. And I'm not saying that every studio has the same problem, but a lot of studios have the same problem. And when those problems kind of come about, and I have faced them, especially when I faced them in more than one studio, then it starts to become a trend. And as a trend, I can find out exactly what kind of steps that we took in order to solve these issues. And lately, I've done that as animation director for Dune Awakening, the big AAA game that has been out there already. And what they all have in common is that they all had specific issues that needed tackling, and they needed tackling as fast as possible in the most efficient way possible. And the reason why I joined them is very much to solve these issues and to kind of shed a new light from my perspective and my experience in those issues. And there's a sense of satisfaction within me to know that all the years that I've spent in working in the games industry now serve as a vehicle for other studios to make better products. Now let's move on into why audits are going to become a must going forward. Now, recently I released part 4 of the state of the industry, and it was a video that was received well, and I was talking about how the rise of co-deving is coming. And I think because of that, because the industry is growing, we are seeing more outsourcing, we are seeing more co-dev, and as a result, we'll see more tech complexity. Because of all those changes, if your animation pipeline has been pre-established, great. It means that it already works, and it means that you can do more of the same. But for any new studio or that actually wants to set up their pipeline, or any studio that wants to change their pipeline and either make it more efficient or better in quality, things, if they are slightly off, they will actually be felt in games. Now, the studios that actually take animation audits seriously, they take it almost like if they are code reviews or design docs, because a good setup pipeline and a good setup flow of animations, both in team setup, but also how things get in game and how things feel in game, means that your game will ultimately, independently of how successful it is going to feel great for players, is going to look great for players, and animation is going to be one of those things that players talk about. And the best companies that I've seen doing this and taking this animation audit seriously, they do this proactively and they don't do it reactively, and that actually helps a ton. That knowledge that we have is really, really powerful, and I've seen it firsthand with these audits on how we can change something that is mediocre into something that is AAA with just a few things, few team members, a few changes in the pipeline, a few different systems, and immediately the game just goes from being mediocre to being good. And with a little bit more time, it can be excellent. And I think that knowledge actually translates incredibly well, and it's just not myself in animation. I'm pretty sure there's other people, not only in animation, but in other fields that feel the same way, that if they can just share their knowledge to a studio that is savvy, that is willing, that is open-minded, they immediately will be like, I understand what you're trying to say now I can see it, fresh perspective. So this experience becomes really important, and I think is why it's so crucial to keep these people with lots of years in the industry kind of close and listen to them. And I think this then becomes another venue for anybody with experience to basically share their valuable insight that they have over many years in many games into many studios that are up and coming right now. Now, let's talk about how I actually go about the animation audits right now with Rekindled. So, as you guys know, I joined Rekindled recently. I made a video about it a while back, and I'm really enjoying it. And there's a lot of people like-minded that are working at Rekindled. And the reason why I kept things about this animation audit specifically under wraps is because it was just me doing it. And I can only genuinely just tackle one studio at a time max, especially if a studio like Funcom that did Dune Awakening. I cannot handle more than that because it's a lot, right? But with Rekindle and myself coming together, now we can handle multiple studios because we have multiple people involved with a lot of experience, just like myself. Now, some of the things that we've done so far in some studios that we actually did animation audits is definitely spotting gaps in quality. We also spot gaps in communication, for example. Tooling is another thing that we actually have seen, that a lot of animation teams don't have the right tooling to process mocap or work on hand key animations as fast as they should. And speed is something that is synonymous with games, because if you're not fast and produce a lot of assets, you're not really, for lack of a better word, feeding the game what it needs in order to grow and expand and be better, right? We also help things about building a better pipeline. The tech animation side of things is really important, where we kind of help people understand what is needed for a good facial setup. How do you set it up in Unreal? Technical animation in both Maya, but also in Unreal. How do you actually set up things in Blueprint so it translates well from Maya to Unreal and back, to make sure that the structure is really solid. So in a way, you can think of it like a collaboration, where we lift your project but don't really critique it from the sidelines. We're just there to help you out for as long as you need it. Now, on a more personal note, I just wrapped up a project that I was working with just like this in this animation audits, and I'm looking for the next one. So fully available right now, so definitely get in touch if you're actually keen to work with me, work with the team at Rekindled, and it's super easy. I'll leave a link down below. I'll leave my email as well, so you can get in touch for us to have a conversation. And normally the way that these things work is that we like to have a chat with you over a video, get to know you, get to know the studio, get to know the limitations of the studio, and then hear you about what is needed, right? And this goes for indie studios to AAA studios, where you can tell us what you think the problems are, where you can think the limitations are, and then we ask you as well where you think the animation should be. Also depends on the type of game you are, if it's a live game, if it's a single player story game. There's a lot of things to consider, so definitely get in touch. We can have a first chat It's completely free to have a first chat so we can talk about it. And then after that, we can decide exactly how we're going to actually collaborate, for how long, and how it works. Another thing that we've done as well is that go to the studio to basically meet the people behind the game and actually have a sit down. To wrap it all up, I think animation auditing is an amazing way and vehicle for us as professionals to share our knowledge with studios worldwide on the things that worked and things that didn't work depending on the projects. And it makes a world of difference. And I know that this might seem alien to a lot of studios out there listening to this right now, and they're probably thinking we don't need this because we have an animation pipeline and we made it work somehow. But you'll be surprised how many studios think they have it all sorted, and then somebody like myself could join them, and then as soon as we start asking questions, why is this set up this way? Wouldn't it be better if it was set up this other way? And then they start thinking, the gears start turning, and then they start going, actually, that makes sense. And within 3 months, 6 months, the animation is infinitely more effective, is working better, the animation team is having more fun, and as a result, the animations in game look way better. This was the case, for example, for Dune Awakening. This was the case as well for a bunch of titles that I worked before, and all the teams that I have done this over and over again. And this is why I'm actually still kind of working on different projects here and there, and I'm super proud of the things that are going on right now under the hood. And it's really satisfying to see, for sure. All right, that's all I have for you guys. If you're here with me still, you know what to do if you enjoyed the video. And if you actually want more, stay with me until next week. We'll have another one, videos weekly as usual. And until the next one, stay well, stay safe. Peace. If you enjoyed the video or found it helpful, go ahead and hit the like button. If you super enjoyed it, leave a super thanks. It's like leaving a little tip, and it directly supports the channel. If you haven't already, subscribe and turn on post notifications so you can continue to see my videos and get your weekly dose of betterness.